right, well, good evening. We'll go ahead and stand and turn over to hymn number 411. When darkness veils his lovely face, I rest on his unchanging grace. In every high and stormy gale, my anchor holds within the veil. I was thinking about that. Sometimes, I don't know if there's ever been times in your life, as there have been in mine, when things just don't seem as clear, but we can rest on his unchanging grace, the fact that God is the same yesterday, today, forever. Just because we can't see him as clearly as we once did, doesn't mean that he doesn't still love us and obviously support us. And so just a reminder in that Christ is that solid rock. I'm thankful for it. All right, let's open with a word of prayer. Lord, we're thankful, I'm thankful that you are that solid rock that we can trust in. People move, cultures move, everything moves, but Lord, you're the one that stays sure and steadfast. And Lord, I pray that you help us as we consider even tonight our trust in you and what that looks like. I pray that you would just challenge and encourage each one of us. Help us be able to place our trust squarely in you, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, you can be seated. We're going to turn over, well, you can turn, but it's not going to be able to turn. It's Complete in Thee. So a song that we have sung from time to time, Complete in Thee, and I love the words to the song as well. And I challenge you to be able to listen to those as we go through that Complete in Thee.
Salvation won, what hath
then sanctified, which is that process whereby on this earth we're made more like the image of Christ, and then finally glorified when our body is then changed into a glorified body as well. And so a complete process, a complete salvation that God does in us, and God starts it and God completes it as well. A reminder that non-perishables pantry bin, and just a reminder that it is out there, continuing to stock that as well. Next Sunday morning, Seth and Cecilia Mahenu are coming, and so opportunity to be able to hear from them, get an update from them, and so we'll be excited to be able to have them next Sunday morning, and so just note that if you would. And then the opportunities to serve are still on the bulletin board there. One of them has been eliminated though today because the time has run out for that one, but the other three still remain. John Kim Caputo with the Campus Ministries, so that's coming up on Thursday, and leaving here at 10:30 and get back probably around 8 o'clock, and so just note that. And so if you'd like to come and be a part of that, you can see the details out there on the bulletin board. If you could just sign up there so people know to be able to wait for you, so that we know who all's coming, etc., along those lines. And then the New Freedom Fest is this coming Saturday, so a lot's happening this week. It'll be a pretty busy week. So this coming Saturday, along with that, there is the bake sale. So if you'd like to be able to bake anything, this is the week. So after this week, you won't be able to bake anything anymore, but opportunity there. And Michelle actually had an idea this morning when I talked about doing the religious surveys. She asked about being able to follow up. She said that she's seen or heard or been a part of before where they take like different baked goods, like cookies or something like that, to be able to follow up with those that perhaps might like to follow up. And so she was kind of talking about that a little bit. I didn't want to volunteer this, but maybe we'll buy those after we're all done and making sure that they're all. Anyway, we were talking about that a little bit, so I was trying to see maybe if those things can dovetail. We'll see how it works. I don't know. But I just thought that was a neat idea too, an opportunity to be able to follow up with those who are interested perhaps, and be able to go back and have further conversations. But so anybody that's interested in doing a religious survey too, I'll have to type that up for us, but it will look very similar to this one that's up here, and hopefully a little bit larger. This is kind of small, and so, but in any case, it'll give you an idea of what it is. And for those that are going, as I mentioned this morning, those that are going to the John Kim Caputo Campus Ministries, I would encourage you to be a part of the training that he does with us. It's just really simple, 5-10 minutes. That doesn't commit you to actually doing it there. That's something that we can work through if we'd like. But it's just an opportunity to be able to kind of work through that a little bit more. He kind of goes through that in particular. And so we just encourage you with that. Then New Freedom Fest, and then the trunk or treat, we now have, are these out there as well? Okay. Trunk or treat, the little flyers are out there, so that's about a little over a month away now. So just note that if you would as well. I think that's it for those opportunities coming up. All right, before we have our next song, we are going to have Matthew and Rogan. You guys want to come up and do the offering. And just to clarify, this offering is just a general offering. It doesn't go to the kids necessarily or anything. It's just an opportunity for them to be able to, in church, to be able to learn how to take offering and help in that capacity. They were doing that down in junior church, and you guys do a great job down there. And so I'll go ahead and pray, and we'll have our offering time. Lord, I'm thankful for the opportunity that we have to be able to be an example and also to train the next generation to be able to serve you. I pray, Lord, that you would use these simple opportunities to create a desire to be able to serve you. And I pray, Lord, that you would just bless each one of them as well, and bless the resources that come in. Pray that you help give each one of us wisdom to know how to best use the resources you entrusted to our care, and that you help us be able to be a light here and a light around the world. We pray. We thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen. in me a clean heart, asking the Lord to create that clean heart in us, even as the psalmist did, David did in Psalm 51 there. He said, create in me a clean heart, O God, renew a right spirit within me, restore me the joy of thy salvation. So being able to sing different themes like that, 357 standing for the Delitzsch's presentation, and so for some reason, I guess the sound was going out the HDMI port instead, and so sometimes when you unplug and plug things in, I guess it kind of was a little bit messed up there, and so I'm going to go ahead and play that video at this time.
God said in Isaiah 46, 9 through 10, I am God, and there is no other. I am God, and there is none like me. My counsel shall stand, and I will accomplish all my purpose. Trusting in the sovereignty of God was what gave strength and hope to our family in 2015, when our visas to return to Sweden were denied after serving there for 10 years. Our family was devastated. We loved the people there, the ministry God had given us, and that was home to us. When we moved back to the States, we took time to reflect on what God had done through us, what he was doing in us. And yes, we asked God the question, why? God didn't give us an answer right away. So instead of pouting, we started praying for God's direction. Then a year later, a door opened for us to join a missionary couple who had started a church in a coastal town in Puerto Rico. By faith, we moved there in 2016 and began working with the bilingual Puerto Ricans. Many needed to hear the gospel. Many believers needed to be discipled. We immediately began to help with multiple ministries, including working with the nursery, children, teens, the deaf, music, preaching, marriage counseling, Saturday outreaches, started a young families ministry, and a basketball outreach ministry. And in the midst of all this, in 2017, Hurricanes Irma and Maria hit the northeast region of Puerto Rico within 2 weeks of each other. You probably saw news clips about what happened and heard about some of the political mudslinging that went on between the U.S. government and the Puerto Rican government. But what you saw in the news is only a page in a thick book of what actually happened. and what you have heard in the media is often slanted by prejudiced political views. Our co-workers were stuck in the States, so it was left up to us to check on everyone in our church to see if everyone was okay and what they needed. We couldn't just call them because every form of communication was down, from cell phones to the internet. It was frustrating to not be able to contact our loved ones, and those of you here in the States were praying for us. Finally, a couple of weeks later, we were able to find a high point along the highway an hour from our home where a weak signal was enough to let everyone know that we were okay. We spent the first few weeks just helping to clear debris. In some cases where people couldn't even get out the front door and people couldn't enter church buildings. However, even this was complicated by the lack of fuel and oil for the chainsaws, cars, and generators. We would have to wait in line for 10 hours to just be able to buy 5 gallons of gas. And sometimes we would get to the front of the line only for the supply to run out. Even the grocery stores began running out of food. Our generator broke due to trying to power not only our house, but 4 neighbors' houses as well. We waited all day in line to buy another one, but they ran out quickly. Eventually, Elizabeth's sister, with the help of our church, was able to send us a replacement generator. Thankfully, after 4 long months, our town eventually got power, albeit with constant outages. However, many regions of Puerto Rico were without electricity for 18 months. Due to this, there was a drastic increase in looting, violent crimes, and car accidents. The National Guard was called in to protect precious fuel at the gas stations and help relieve police officers directing traffic at the intersections. In the midst of endless nights of physical darkness came opportunities to penetrate the spiritual darkness with the gospel. Churches and Christians from the States sent much needed supplies, and our garage and church became a distribution center. For months, we loaded our vehicles and drove up into the mountains to remote villages to distribute free food, drinking water, clothes, gasoline, flashlights and lanterns, batteries, medicine, toiletries, and Bibles. We taught Bible studies with flashlights and lanterns, and Puerto Ricans turned from spiritual darkness to spiritual light. We worked with an organization to hand out free water filtering systems using 5-gallon buckets. We always gave a gospel presentation, and some gave their life to Christ. The young people came to our house each night to play games with the lights made possible by the generator and asked spiritual questions and studied the Bible together. So, did God ever answer the question, why? Why did you move us from one mission field to another? We probably won't fully understand why, but we believe that in many ways God did answer. As we helped the local government in our town hand out thousands of pounds of food, water, gasoline, clothes, and medicine, we knew that God had moved us to Puerto Rico to help the people recover from the hurricane. As we helped hundreds of Puerto Ricans who were stuck in the mountains without access to electricity, food, and clean water, we knew God's answer. When the head of the FEMA agents walked up to me and asked me to personally let him know about people whose homes had been destroyed and living on the streets so that the government could try to find them shelter, God was answering our why question. When lost people heard the gospel message and became born-again believers, including our next-door neighbors, we knew why God had sent us to Puerto Rico. When people began telling us that we saved their lives and that they owed us their lives and that they would have killed themselves if it wasn't for our help, we redirected them to the God who redirected us to Puerto Rico, and we knew that God had answered our question. So what was God's answer to us when we asked why? Why did you move us from one extreme of Sweden to almost the exact opposite of Puerto Rico? He showed us that He is the great and sovereign God of heaven, who has the right to move and direct us according to His will, that He is the Alpha and Omega, who knows the beginning to the end, and that He is in complete control of our lives. And as a result, we should keep on trusting Him. Our God is truly sovereign. Once again, in recent months, God has changed our lives in several ways, and is asking us to trust His sovereignty. God redirected us to rescue a dying church in desperate need of revitalization. God led us from a Spanish-speaking ministry to an English-speaking ministry. We went from stabilizing a church to restarting a church. And probably the hardest of these recent changes to digest was when our doctor finally figured out what Elizabeth has been struggling with for several years. An early onset of Parkinson's disease, which has no known cure. We learned that the constant internal muscle tremors is what causes exhaustion and pain. Can we trust our sovereign God even during changing and challenging times? Is God still good? The answer is still yes, and yes. But it doesn't mean that it's easy to process the emotions and uncertainties. This is why we are in constant need of your prayers. You have faithfully prayed for us for many years, and we know that is a large part of the reason why we continue to trust the Lord and to serve Him. Thank you, and please continue to pray for us as we continue to advance His kingdom and the life-transforming gospel in Puerto Rico.
Bring back some memories and stuff. Looking through that, and obviously for those that went, I was waiting for the chainsaw and Rick. I was waiting for that to slide across the whole time I watched. I didn't see that. And we did see with the line there as we went through the line with Costco. I think right at the end, Katie and Sarah were standing there at the cart, and stuff, and so we saw them as well. So good times, good memories. Psalm 71. We'll look at it here this evening. Psalm 71. As we look through this passage in particular, give us an opportunity to be able to have kind of just one main thought, as it were, but there's a lot of things in the psalm that I really appreciated. I'm just kind of thinking through some of these and some of these thoughts here. But Psalm 71, here David is a lot older. He's advanced in age. There's a couple different times throughout this that he talks about being older and gray-headed and other things along those lines. And he says in verse 9, for instance, he says, "Cast me not off in the time of old age, forsake me not when my strength faileth." And so clearly he's older. There's a couple other references as well. But here he's still trusting in the Lord. And there's a particular thing that I want to look at, but I just want to read through the entire psalm, give us an opportunity maybe to just kind of discuss if there's anything in particular that stands out to you, and focus us on a couple verses in particular. Psalm 71 verse 1 says this. It says, "In thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Let me never be put to confusion. Deliver me in thy righteousness, and cause me to escape. Incline thine ear unto me, and save me. Be thou my strong habitation, whereunto I may continually resort. Thou hast given commandment to save me, for thou art my rock and my fortress. Deliver me, O my God, out of the hand of the wicked, and out of the hand of the unrighteous and cruel man. For thou art my hope, O Lord God. Thou art my trust from my youth." So here he's talking about, now that he's old, basically he's trusted the Lord his entire life. In verse 6 it says, "By thee have I been folded up from the womb. Thou art he that took me out of my mother's bowels. My praise shall be continually of thee. I am as a wonder unto many, but thou art my strong refuge. Let my mouth be filled with thy praise, and with thy honor all the day. Cast me not off in the time of old age, forsake me not when my strength faileth." Again, that sign of old age that was setting on. Now he was young, he's trusting the Lord. Now he's older, his strength is failing him. Verse 10, it says, "For mine enemies speak against me, and they that lay wait for my soul take counsel together, saying, God hath forsaken him. Persecute and take him, for there is none to deliver him. O God, be not far from me, O my God, make haste for my help. Let them be confounded and consumed that are adversaries to my soul. Let them be covered with reproach and dishonor that seek my hurt. But I will hope continually and will yet praise thee more and more. My mouth shall show forth thy righteousness and thy salvation all the day. For I know not the numbers thereof. I will go in the strength of the Lord God. I will make mention of thy righteousness, even of thine own name. O God, thou hast taught me from my youth, and hitherto have I declared thy wondrous works. Now also, when I am old and gray-headed, O God, forsake me not." Again, another reference to the fact that the psalmist is aged. There, continuing in verse 18, it says, until I have showed thy strength unto this generation, and thy power to everyone that is to come. Thy righteousness also, O God, is very high. Who hast done great things? O God, who is like unto thee? Thou, which hast showed me great and sore troubles, shalt quicken me again, and shalt bring me up again from the depths of the earth. Thou shalt increase my greatness, and comfort me on every side. I will also praise thee with the psaltery, even thy truth, O my God. Unto thee will I sing with the harp, O thou Holy One of Israel. My lips shall greatly rejoice when I sing unto thee, and my soul which thou hast redeemed. My tongue also shall talk of thy righteousness all the day long, for they are confounded, for they are brought unto shame that seek my hurt. Let's open with a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, as we look at this psalm and discuss some different themes that run throughout it, I do pray, Lord, that you just give the words here tonight, that you would encourage and challenge each one of us to place our faith in you. As we sang earlier in the service as well, the solid rock, the fact that we can place our faith in you, and we won't be ashamed of that faith that's placed. And Lord, I pray that you just challenge and encourage each one of us here tonight. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. So, are there any particular themes that you saw as you went through that psalm? Anything that stuck out to you? I have a few things I'm going to discuss, but I just want to give an opportunity.
We've gone through hard times before, but the Lord has always provided.
Okay? He's gone through hard times before, but the Lord's always provided. And it's neat. I like that theme kind of going off of that is, he looks back to the womb all the way to the end. I love that it's throughout, kind of fingers throughout the psalm, but a reminder to us, of that as well, and continuing to pray that I love verse 1 where it says, let me never be put to confusion. He's just praying that God would, show himself strong in his life. Anything else? Any other themes or thoughts that stuck out to you?
Verse 16.
Okay.
Although in the strength of the Lord, I make mention of his righteousness. But, in Acts 1 it says, you'll receive the power of the Holy Spirit and you'll go and be witnesses. And sometimes you have to take it on faith that you have the power of the Holy Spirit, because you don't really feel it.
Sure.
And you just go and be a witness, and then the Lord's strength will show up.
Yeah. Yep. We like to feel strong before we step out in faith, but the grace of God meets us as we step out in faith. Kind of like Peter stepping out, he probably didn't feel like he could walk on water, but God told him to come, and so by faith you take that idea of that strength that we oftentimes want that strength, we want to feel strong, but instead it's trusting God and stepping out by faith and strength. What do you think about verses 12 and 13? There's an interesting theme that I found in this psalm as I was going through it, and honestly, I'm still trying to work through it, and so I think you can take everything, it's always taking everything with a grain of salt, but as I'm working through it, definitely throughout this psalm, there's an interesting theme, again, that I'm just chewing on. Verses 12 and 13, I'll read them again and see if there's anything that, in these particular verses, it says in verse 12, O God, be not far from me, O my God, make haste for my help. Let them be confounded and consumed that are adversaries to my soul. Let them be covered with reproach and dishonor that seek my hurt. What do you think about that? What the psalmist is asking for in those verses? Have any of you ever asked, like he does in verse 13, let them be confounded and consumed that are my adversaries, adversaries my soul, let them be covered with reproach and dishonor that seek my hurt. Think about what he's asking there. I guess when I read through it, I kind of cringed a little bit at that, because I'm like, oh, that's not very nice, right? I mean, is that just me? You know, as I read through that, you know, I think, wow, he's really asking for something. Let them be confounded, consumed, let them be covered with reproach. We talk about Joshua 5:9 and the reproach that was on Israel, and God had rolled that away, but there was that reproach. It was a bad name that they had. He said, dishonor that seek my hurt. So what do you think about praying something like this for adversaries? I mean, he does it. So, I mean, it doesn't... You think he was in the right frame of mind? And why would somebody pray that? Why? I'm looking over here in case Sam has an answer as well. It's Sam and everybody else.
If you go back to verse 11, his adversaries were, looks as if they were getting ready to come in on him. And then, but really the piece that I like at the very end of verse 11, there is no one to deliver.
Mm-hmm. That's what they're...
Without the Lord, you can't go to him. There is no one else who can deliver you. So, I guess we can't go to him. We have no one.
Yeah.
So we can't go to him.
Yep, and he is and that's I can see the theme through the psalm is trusting in the Lord and all that all he is doing and has done for us. Verse 11 there is what they're saying about David too, is God has forsaken him. You know, they're basically thinking, you know, God's given up on him, you know, all this kind of stuff, and they're looking to kind of, because of that, they're looking to persecute and take him, it says, because he doesn't have any help or hope. But as he said throughout the psalm, the Lord is my help. And here in verse 12 again, you know, God, he says, be not far from me and help me, because I'm trusting in you. And then why verse 13, let them be confounded and consumed that are my adversaries to my soul. You know, I guess I just think to myself, and maybe it's my personality, okay? I don't know, maybe personality or spiritual gifting. When I took the spiritual gift test, I think mercy was my #1 spiritual gift, okay? So, so when I look at that, I kind of cringe. I cringed at this, because I'm like, you know, I don't know that I've ever prayed that. Even for somebody who I know is doing me wrong, I don't pray that they're consumed or confounded. I don't pray that they're reproached or dishonored. Usually I'm just grieved for them and praying for them. So I guess I kind of struggle, and I'm putting this out here. I do have some thoughts, but I want us to kind of think through that. Why? What's the reasoning here?
Well, can they, or do they need to go through that experience in order to see that they are wrong? And then come to God the same way that David came to God. We have to see our sin first before we can really realize just how bad we are. So I can see that in there. There is a good side to this, even though it sounds bad, what he's asking for. There's a good side to it where they will never come to Christ. In this case, the New Testament, they never come to God and the law unless they realize they're breaking the law.
Unless they come to the end of themselves, so to speak, maybe. I think of the passage in 1 Corinthians 5. I'm going to get to some specifics here, but in 1 Corinthians 5, the passage there where the reason why they were told to basically deliver such a one to Satan, it said for the destruction of the flesh, right? So that the spirit would be saved in the day of the Lord Jesus. So there was a reason, and the reason wasn't just to obliterate them. The reason was, like you're saying, it's kind of to bring them to the end of themselves. It's kind of like the prodigal son as well, who left and finally came to himself, right? He exhausted everything he could. He finally came to the end of himself and realized, man, it was a whole lot better in my father's house than it is here, you know? And so he gets up and he goes back. But he didn't get up and go back until he came to the end of himself. And so I do think there's an aspect of mercy even with this, like you're saying, is that God would so work in their hearts and lives that he would bring them back to themselves. But it's just, it's a hard passage to swallow, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. I think one of the things that's taking place here, and I wrote this for myself, is a clear line between those who are trusting God and those who are not. I think sometimes in the Christian life, it gets really fuzzy because we all sow and we all reap, but unfortunately, we don't always sow to the Spirit. Okay, how many of you would say, I always sow to the Spirit? Okay, can I see your hands, please? All right, you're graduated now, you can leave. But the rest of us, okay, that are normal people that struggle at times, we don't always sow to the Spirit. Sometimes we sow to the flesh. Okay, sometimes we don't do things that we should do, even though we know we're supposed to do them. We don't do them, right? Okay, and so there's constantly a sowing to the Spirit and a sowing to the flesh. And what ends up happening is our garden that grows fruit, we're not exactly sure what came from where. Okay? So the fruit of the Spirit obviously comes from the Spirit, yes, but there's kind of weeds intertangled in this garden. And I think what the psalmist is trying to do here is in a sense draw a clear line so that the individuals who are trusting God know, obviously they're trusting God, they get the fruit of trusting God. And those that are not know the opposite. It's very clear, there's a clear delineation between the two. Turn with me, if you would, this is the passage that came to mind, Numbers 16. This is seen throughout God's Word, but in Numbers 16, I believe there's a story that's similar to this, because there are some different times at which in this passage in particular,